Lorenzo gazed out at the hive city. It was magnificent, beautiful, even. A marvel of imperial craft, built by hands long ago, though not so old that it was older than he. And now it was his. He grimaced slightly at the thought. He didn't actually want the city or the world. For all the revolutionaries' claims that he had come to save them and liberate them from their imperial overlords, he didn't really care about this place anymore. The problem was that he was bored. Bored of this city and the silly little humans marching through it, revelling in their fresh independence. Bored of how easy it was to make them believe whatever he wanted them to. Bored especially of how the Imperials never saw it coming. Actually, that bit wasn't entirely true. There were occasionally some dramatically rich moments when the Imperials were so genuinely shocked that they tried to do things like plead for mercy. He always told them the same thing. Don't ask me, ask them. Them, in this instance, were the few thousand humans trumpeting their defiance across the hive. Their blood awash with the finest stimulant vintages he had to offer, they had done a fine job of marauding their way over the Imperial defences and laying siege to the governor's palace. It was a nice place, Lorenzo thought to himself, looking around at the opulence surrounding him. It was no wonder that the governor had screamed and begged so much, if this was the kind of life he was being forced to give up. From this balcony, Lorenzo could see the whole of the city, and out over its walls to the wasted scrubland beyond. The room itself was high-ceilinged, an ornate brass-trimmed four-poster bed taking up the majority of the space. A large gold-edged mirror had occupied the centre of the wall, now lying cracked in one corner. That had been one of the first things Lorenzo had attended to when he barged in on the governor and his wife. Lorenzo always hated seeing an unbroken mirror. A nice place, he agreed with himself. Shame about all the blood everywhere now, though. It would be a real bitch to get out of the curtains. Absent-mindedly, Lorenzo reached down with his combat knife and scraped a strip of flesh from the now ex-governor. He chewed on it as he grinned, knowing at least this bit of pleasure would never fail to reach him. My lord? A human voice interrupted his delicate train of thought, shattering the moment like a mirror. He turned to see one of the rebels standing there in the governor's bedroom, trying not to step in any of the governor's blood or in the governor's wife. Ah, yes, Lorenzo exclaimed, his grin widening into a smile. The man looked horrified at the sight. In the shards of the cracked mirror on the floor, Lorenzo could see that his smile went all the way back to his jawbone, and there was blood running down his chin. He dialed the smile back a little and wiped his mouth with the governor's severed sleeve. Charmosian, was it? Lord? Truth was, Lorenzo could not remember who this man was. It's Aaron, sir. Of course, of course. Come, join me on the balcony. Lorenzo smiled inwardly at the awkward way that Aaron shuffled around the large pool of viscera and discarded limbs by the door that had once been a high-ranking imperial woman. He kicked the misshapen lump of the governor's corpse out of Aaron's way so that he could step onto the balcony, the man's footfall making a faint squelch as his blood-covered boot hit marble. How goes the revolution? Asked Lorenzo, trying with all his might to make it sound like he cared. We are victorious, my lord. All imperial forces are slain or have fled off-world. Thanks to your warriors' intervention, we're free. Good, good, said Lorenzo. The perfect prince revels in our glory. I can feel it. This part was true. Lorenzo felt a buzzing through his senses, growing more intense with every minute, and it was nothing to do with the combat stims. Slaanesh was pleased, a concert-goer revelling to their music, and Lorenzo would be rewarded for conducting the orchestra. Actually, that's why I'm here, my lord, said Aaron. Oh? Lorenzo cocked an eyebrow. Aaron took a deep breath. I want to become one of you. An Astartes. I want to see the stars and show them the power of the gods. Lorenzo could see how much it meant to the man, how deeply he fantasized over the idea. Not fantasized. Obsessed. He put a massive gauntleted hand on Aaron's shoulder. I must warn you, to become part of our circle is to become something very old, something different. We are not the heroic space marines waging war to defend a dying empire ruled over by a corpse. I know that, and I, began Aaron. Do not interrupt me, snapped Lorenzo, squeezing Aaron's shoulder. The man winced in pain as his bones bent, but to his credit did not cry out. Lorenzo calmed himself. Do not interrupt me, he repeated softly. Aaron just stared at him, scared to speak at all. We are demonized, hunted. Wherever we go, even among the rebel breed, we are outcasts. He licked his lips. This was good stuff. He would have to remember to add it to his manuscript. I know, Lord. I want to be part of you still, to aid you, to serve you and the perfect prince. Lorenzo's smile returned, barely able to contain his glee. You truly wish to aid, to serve? He stepped closer, shifting his hand to cup the back of the human's head. I do. Lorenzo could see he was losing his audience. The captivation was being replaced with fear. Better close the curtain fast. You will serve me. For all time, he breathed. There was a wet crunch. Aaron stared back at him.